Hey, it's me, GV, and I am recording this right in the middle of Mayvorites 2025. We moved it to July because of the Oblivion Remaster, which is the main series on this YouTube channel. And we hit all of our incentives for Mayvorites 2025 very quickly. I think by like the 7th, 8th, or 9th day, all of the 10 incentives have been hit. Now, one of those incentives, I think the second one, was to do a Daedric Princes tier list. Now, when I said tier list, I didn't really think, oh, it would probably be better just to rank them as opposed to just putting them in a tier list maker, because I really hate the tier list maker website, to be honest. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be ranking every single Daedric Prince, of which there are currently, at the time of this video, 18. And basically just, yeah, it's going to be a casual video, just giving my thoughts on each of these Daedric Princes. So before we jump in, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's been a part of Mayvorites, and obviously thank you so much for helping us to hit all of the incentives. Let's get into it. At number 18 out of 18, we have Aelia, the Prince of Paths, Fate, and Destiny. And by the way, for anybody that doesn't know what a Daedric Prince is, which is probably going to be, most people would probably know on this channel, but if you don't know, basically in the Elder Scrolls lore, there are these kinds of princes of all sorts of usually evil stuff, but not always. Some princes are more benevolent than evil, but they're these really cool. I mean, honestly, probably my favorite thing about the Elder Scrolls are the Daedric Princes, just simply because they're these enigmatic, mysterious, powerful entities that kind of lord over a domain of oblivion, which each have their own themes and stuff. So just really cool entities that oftentimes mess with the affairs of mortals. So yeah, number 18 is Aelia, the Prince of Paths, Fate, and Destiny. This one's kind of a gimmicky ranking, just simply because, as far as I understand, Aelia was introduced in the Elder Scrolls Online, and that's interesting because the Elder Scrolls Online takes place forever ago compared to like the mainline series timeline. I forget how long, but it's like forever ago. So you might be wondering, well, how is this, you know, Daedric Prince in the Elder Scrolls universe if they were in the lore way back when? And as far as I know, it's because her story is contained in the Elder Scrolls Online whatever when she was introduced. Like, she was introduced, and then throughout, you know, as you go through the quests and everything in the storyline, her thing gets wrapped up, and then she's kind of pushed out of the picture. So that's from what I understand. I have not really played Elder Scrolls Online for any significant amount of time, so yeah, I have no experience with Aelia whatsoever. New Daedric Prince introduced. It's cool that she's got the whole theme of like fate and destiny and paths. She's like the Daedric Prince of Paths. But yeah, I just don't know anything about her, and she's a new prince that was added, so she goes in the bottom. At number 17, we have Jigalag, the Prince of Order. This guy's also kind of gimmicky, and by the way, this is obviously from the mainline series. Like I said, I have not played much of the ESO, so if any of these Daedric Princes, like Moolog Ball, I know is a big part of ESO. If they're a part of ESO, I do not know any of that. That's in a different realm that I've played. But Jigalag is in the Shivering Isles DLC for Oblivion. He's the Prince of Order, and he's kind of a gimmicky one too. He more serves as a critical plot point in the Shivering Isles, kind of the foil, the mirror to Shaogore. So you don't like, he's not as presented in the Elder Scrolls series as these other Daedric Princes, where you can do a lot of quests for them and things like that. So yeah, he's just order guy. He is guy all about order, which is a little boring in the grand scheme of things. It works fantastically for the Shivering Isles story, but outside of that, boring order mean man that is basically just in one quest, and that's about it. At number 16, we have Malikath, the Prince of Lies and the Ostracized. Malikath always ranks low for me simply because he is literally seen as one of the weakest you know, Daedric Princes. I think canonically he's pretty weak, along with another Daedric Prince we'll talk about later. He's interesting though. He is, yeah, the Lord of the Ostracized, so like goblins, probably definitely trolls. Orcs worship him because orcs are very ostracized as far as the Elder Scrolls races go. So he's got an interesting kind of like shtick, but overall, yeah, I don't think he gets much respect from a lot of the other Daedric princes, and his quests, I feel like, aren't as punchy as some of the other Daedric princes as well, but he is cool. And also his Daedric artifact, Volendrung, which you can get in, I believe, most of the Elder Scrolls mainline games, as far as I remember, is very sick. Gigantic hammer for any orc characters to use. At number 15, we have Namira, the Prince of Darkness. And by the way, if you don't know, Daedric princes can usually be portrayed as male or female, and sometimes they'll switch as well. It just kind of depends on the game, which I also find really cool as far as a lore element. Yeah, Namira, the Prince of Darkness, basically all about really revolting, nasty things. Their quest in Skyrim is very interesting from what I remember, but it's honestly been forever since I've done it. Yeah, just a revolting Daedric prince. So obviously not going to be very, like, popular as far as players go, most likely. I'm sure there's people that love Namira. But also, yeah, just all about disgusting crap. I like the eldritch nature, but I also imagine being a follower of Namira involves a lot of stink and smells and vile things in general. I think this was the one. It might have been Perite, but there was a Daedric prince that had like a title that was like, in fact, I think it's Perite, but it was like, you know, the Daedric Prince of like beautiful vomit or unrelenting vomit or something like that. So I'm sure Perite and Namira can probably get along great because they're both about nasty, disgusting things. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that there's just a revolting Daedric Prince, but obviously, again, it's probably going to be lower on the list for a lot of people just because it's not very relatable to just be a disgusting, vile Daedric prince. At number 14, we have Meridia, the Daedric Prince of A New Hand. Obviously, the meme where you grab the beacon from a random chest at a certain level in Skyrim, and then you get that massive voiceover coming in. I don't like Meridia much. In fact, I could definitely switch Meridia and Namira now that I'm looking at my notes here. Meridia is an interesting one. I haven't seen her characterized too much. In fact, I'm trying to even remember what she does in Oblivion. I don't know. The Skyrim one, obviously, is the linking with the orbs and the light and everything. She is all about hating the undead and basically almost being kind of like a paladin-y Daedric Prince, which is really interesting. That's one of those where, you know, she almost could be considered good, but then she dwells in obsessiveness as well and almost like pure hatred for the undead. So it's an interesting prince because, like, hating the undead and being all about, I don't know, like justice and holy light and things like that, you would think would typically go towards a good character. But Meridia kind of takes it into an obsessive zone, which is very interesting as a character. Yeah, and overall, just not as interesting for me when it comes to Daedric princes as other Daedric princes. Yeah, just basically somebody that really hates the undead, at least as far as Meridia is characterized in the video games. I think in Oblivion, it's something like that, too, where you have to cleanse out, like, a thing of vampires or something like that. So, just hates the undead. At number 13, we have Perite, which I kind of like. He's like this weird, portrayed as a like little dragon, creepy weirdo guy, and his thing is all about pestilence. He's the Daedric Lord of Pestilence, so just disgusting thing. I think, again, it's been a long time since I've done some of these Daedric quests, but in Skyrim, he's the one with like the guys that vomit, like the infected people, all about vomit and sickness and pestilence, which of course, just like with Namira, is not going to be very popular. I do find Perite to be more interesting than Namira. And he's also kind of a reverse to Jigalag. He's all about like the mundanity of the world. Like if Jigalag is like the highest order, Perite's kind of like the order of the lowest things, the mundane in life, which is also a very interesting like little, you know, character element. And Perite as well is considered one of the weakest Daedric lords, apparently. I am not the lore guy at all, so this is just through, you know, looking at resources and research online. But yeah, apparently he is considered one of the weakest Daedric princes also, which would make sense because pestilence, I mean, pestilence can be strong if used like a plague or something. That'd be actually really cool, like a Elder Scrolls mainline quest involving Perite wanting to be more powerful and then putting a plague across the land. That'd actually be sick as hell. Anyways, he goes to 13. At number 12, we have Mafala, which is a little bit of like a niche favorite of mine. The Daedric Prince of Deception and also apparently sex. Which is interesting, you know, having a sex representation sort of thing in the Elder Scrolls would be kind of cool. Some sort of Mafala quest that relates around sex and maybe playing with adultery or something, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. That'd be neat. I always liked Mafala, you know, the marriage of lies and deception going into a RPG side quest, I think is like a fantastic combination. And I don't remember how good her quest is in Skyrim with the Whispering Door, and we did it in Oblivion, right? Because you get the Ebony Blade, or maybe we didn't get that yet. I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, I like a Daedric Prince that's based in lies and deception. You really can do a lot with side quests there, so she ranks a little bit higher for me. She's extremely vile and evil, which I think goes hand in hand with being a Daedric Prince, although not always. And I'm still hoping to see Mafala represented on a grander scale in the Elder Scrolls. I mean, a lot of these Daedric Princes, because some of them, like Shaogore, get a ton of representation, whereas others, we still haven't seen them really come out of their shell. Maybe in ESO, and I just don't know. But Mafala goes at number 12. Number 11, we have Vermina, which is similar. She kind of like falls into the evil Daedric woman, typically, or at least how I remember them. Some, you know, Daedric Princes I remember as male, others I remember as female. Vermina kind of goes into that, you know, Namira, Mafala, whatever, where it's just like evil lady that seems really powerful in the right hands, because Vermina is the Daedric Prince of Nightmares. Her and Freddy Krueger would probably go well together as a couple. I want to put her higher because, yeah, the whole dream nightmare thing is very cool, and once again, you could do so much with this. I mean, honestly, as I've said, my personal focus for the Elder Scrolls 6 that I would love to see is Aedra and Daedra. Some way just involve hopping in between realms, you know, for the Daedra, which we've seen already, but like as a focus, I would love that. And you could do so much with Vermina with the dreams and nightmares thing. It would be so cool. And honestly, she's got to be one of the most terrifying Daedric princes as well, because anything can happen in dreams and nightmares, and you can really, really, really mess with people, as seen in A Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, Vermina, very cool, very scary Daedric prince at number 11. At number 10, we have Hersine. I think I've seen him pronounced in multiple ways. Herkine, Hersine, Hersine. The Daedric prince of he is the Daedric Prince of the Hunt. Very cool. I like Hersine a lot because he's very distinct. There's a lot of Daedric Princes that are just like, I'm evil, and I also have, you know, the realm of lies, deception, nightmares, festering rot, pestilence. Hersine being the Daedric Prince of the Hunt is very cool. Like, you know, a typical, like, yeah, there's a lot of lycanthropy, werewolf type stuff represented with him, as seen in the Blood Moon DLC of Morrowind, or expansion, which was very good. We played that not too long ago for the first time. And yeah, he's just very distinct, and I don't know. When you think of Daedric Princes, he is one that kind of separates himself a little bit more than the others, which I really like. And again, that lycanthropy representation is very cool to have in the Elder Scrolls when you do have werewolves as a major part of it, which we'll see with vampires as well. So Hersine goes into number 10. At number 9, we have Botheia, which I could definitely see me, again, at this point, switching these, maybe putting Hersine higher. The Daedric Prince of Triple Kill. Yeah, all about combat and aggressiveness, and I guess like kind of domination, although there is another Daedric Prince that's more based in domination specifically, actually much more based in domination now that I think about it. Very similar to Mafala, but with like a bigger focus, I guess, on, I don't know how to even describe it, like combat. You know, whenever you're doing something for Botheia, it typically involves fighting people in some capacity. Very good Skyrim quest, although from what I remember of the Oblivion one, it's a bit forgettable, but the Skyrim one is very memorable. Like, one of the strongest Daedric quests in Skyrim is Boetheia's quest. So yeah, I like her demanding presence. I think Boethia is one that was like male in Oblivion, but then in Skyrim has like a female voiceover. I like Boethia's demanding presence, very aggressive presence, but also a little simplistic in theme, so she doesn't get higher for me. At number 8, we have Clavicus Vile, a personal favorite of mine. I kind of want to rank him higher. The Daedric Prince of Let's Make a Deal. I wanted to reference that Wayne Brady.
Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
Yeah, I know the other person hosted it before, but that show that always played when you're home from school, and Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal was always on. Yeah, obviously a Faustian influence, which is that classic, I think it's German tale of, you know, making a deal with the devil, basically, which always goes south, and you never want to do it because no matter how many good things you think you're going to get, it's always going to be bad in the end of it, at the end of it. So yeah, that's typically how Clavicus Vile is represented, making a bargain that ends up being at least twisty in nature, as opposed to just giving you a benefit, you know, the monkey paw curl sort of thing. So yeah, I really feel like this is another Daedric Prince where they could do something amazingly cool with him. I really genuinely would love to see an Elder Scrolls game focused on the Daedra. You could do so much, and you could just take one of these guys like Clavicus Vile, makes a deal with the player or something, just change the entire nature of the game. It would be so sick. So yeah, deal with the devils. It's always an interesting conundrum in any, you know, sort of media to watch and to do if it's a video game. So yeah, has a lot of potential, even though I don't think we've seen Clavicus Vile be fully represented yet. But I always like little creepy devil type, bargainy type characters. And then we have number 7, Moolog Ball, who also could go higher. This is where it gets really difficult to rank these because so many of these Daedric Princes are very interesting and represented very well. The Daedric Prince of BDSM, pretty much. This guy is downright evil. In my research, I didn't realize that he was obsessed with like souls and soul gems, which is a very interesting kind of element. I mean, honestly, the soul cairn and soul gems and trapping souls and everything is a very cool element of the Elder Scrolls that they could expand on, although they do in the Soul Cairn pretty much in the Dawnguard DLC. Yeah, I didn't realize he's kind of obsessed with like getting, I think, as many souls as he can, which is pretty cool. He's a favorite for me because he's so unapologetically evil, and his quests are so evil. His Oblivion quest, which I think we've done in the remastered series, is downright evil. And then his Skyrim quest is very similar as well. Domination. He's all about domination, which is very scary for somebody with a lot of power like Moolog Ball, as we've seen in the games. I also know he has some really dark lore that ties into like the creation of vampires, which I probably can't even talk about on YouTube because it's so dark. And with Hermes, I'm glad that we have kind of the vampire representation with Moolog Ball, kind of. I don't know exactly how it ties to him specifically, but I think he is responsible for creating vampires, and then Hermes with the werewolves. So I kind of like that there's like different Daedric Princes that determine the fantasy beasts kind of creation. At number 6, we have Sanguine, the Daedric Prince of shots, everybody! I was just going to say shots, and then I decided to go for it, so take that as what you will. Basically, Dionysus embodied in a Daedric Prince, which what the heck is not to love about that? The Greek god of revelry, right? Which you see in Hades, although his boons, I think, really sucked compared to the other gods' boons. Yeah, the Daedric Prince of revelry and just overindulgence, probably. So that creates a lot of fun quests. I remember the Oblivion one is really fun, although it's been forever since I've done it. The Skyrim Sanguine quest is literally one of my favorite quests of all time in the Elder Scrolls. Basically a hangover film style quest where you drink to excess so that you have to retrace your steps, and it's very humorous. And yeah, the representation in Skyrim just really solidified Sanguine as one of my favorite Daedric Princes, and you can always, once again, just do so much with Sanguine in future installments. Maybe make it dark. I would love to see like a dark, non-humorous Sanguine quest, because I feel like the Oblivion representation of Sanguine is even more humorous than Skyrim's. So I would love to see a very dark, like, you know, sort of representation of that. But just a fun Daedric Prince. At number 5, we have Nocturnal, the Daedric Prince of Night, and there seems to be a lot of those. There's a lot of Daedric Princes that have that sort of darkness element to them, although Nocturnal, as their name would suggest, is kind of the darkness one. This is more out of like respect, because Nocturnal, I feel like, is a very respected Daedric Prince and also gets a lot of representation, especially in the Skyrim Thieves Guild. And in Oblivion, you get literally a game-breaking Daedric artifact that's kind of insane, and I always thought that was kind of bad design. Yeah, very cool representation in Skyrim, even though we never get to keep the skeleton key, because I think they kind of learn from Oblivion, because having a item that completely makes a skill nullified is kind of, again, a little bit of a bad design. A little repetitive with the dark theme, but overall the strongest Daedra that represents night and stealth. So in a game series that has a big emphasis on stealth in a lot of ways, like Stealth Archer is a literal meme, yeah, Nocturnal's very important, and I love that she ties into the Thieves Guild a lot of the time, and she's just cool. She's a badass Daedric Prince that honestly I just feel like I don't know her as a person too much. I feel like she never talks in Skyrim. That's probably not true. I'm remembering near the end of the Thieves Guild, I think you do have specific conversations with her from what I remember, but it's been a while, man. There's a lot of Elder Scrolls stuff it's now getting to the point where it's been a long time since I've redone them. Anyways, very cool Daedric Prince that I feel like other princes and players respect. At number 4, we have Azora, the Daedric Prince of To the East, to Morrowind. That original Morrowind cutscene is so cool, and the voiceover is so awesome. Azora is mainly here for the same reason as Nocturnal, out of respect for her role in Morrowind, as well as being downright not evil. She's kind of very different. I think Azora is seen as pretty much the most benevolent Daedric Prince, although in my research it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that comes up about people hating her. The interesting thing about the Daedric Princes is that basically, you could have one prince that's really respected in a certain way, but then other followers and other sects of people hate them. So that sounds like Azora, where basically they're considered the most benevolent Daedric Prince, but also there are groups of people that just hate her as well. And apparently she can be, I'm trying to remember, I think like cocky or petty and stuff, which is interesting because I don't think we see that too much, at least in the mainline games. But yeah, out of all the Daedric Princes, she is the one that feels the most on our side, and I appreciate that, you know, and you always can go get her Azura Star, which is they typically have her as like the starting Daedric Prince to give you Azura Star as an item that can help you out. Nothing too crazy as far as her quests go, but majorly important for Morrowind, which I love Morrowind, so she gets my respect and she's very important. So number 4. At number 3, we have Mehrunes Dagon, the Daedric Prince of Darkness, again, and destruction. Change, I think, is this guy's big thing, which is really cool. Kind of destruction and change, which I like. I like that these Daedric Princes have themes of like more philosophical things, I guess, like change. You know, he's changing the world physically, but also, I guess, just causing change. Love his overall design. He's one of the coolest Daedric Princes in terms of how he's physically represented. The multiple arms thing, which I'm always a fan of. Machamp from Pokemon. Also, the Hindu gods. Maybe it's one or multiple gods, but, you know, kind of the multiple arms thing. I always love that design, like Doctor Strange in Marvel Rivals when you reload and he kind of does the arm thing. Obviously the big bad of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and that's really cool because Oblivion's a fantastic game, and Mehrunes Dagon, I won't spoil because we'll get there with the remastered series, but how he's represented and how you see him is very epic, and I think some people don't like the end of that game, but it always was very memorable to me just because of what happens, which again, we'll get there. And he is red. He is super duper red, which is cool as well. At number 2, we have Hermes Mora, the Daedric Prince of Forbidden Knowledge. Really like Hermes Mora. He definitely, like, over time has kind of overtaken a lot of other Daedric Princes for me. He is kind of like a special Daedric Prince. You can tell that he's more powerful in kind of different ways, and more important kind of than a lot of other Daedric Princes, at least so far as we've seen in the games. I mean, obviously plays a massive part in the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim. And, you know, he has that whole eldritch forbidden knowledge sort of theme to him, like with his Daedric realm of Apocrypha, which is literally just an endless library. I love that. He's, again, very distinct from the other, you know, darkness, evil Daedric Princes. Very, very distinct with the whole focus on knowledge. And yeah, the portrayal of a kind of Cthulhian, Lovecraftian, tentacly, always present beast is perfect. Like literally, yeah, that needs to exist as a Daedric prince. And I like that he's smarter and more kind of sly and conniving than a lot of other princes as well. I really would love to see, you know, he's the type of Daedric prince that even though we've seen a lot of him in the Dragonborn DLC, I would love to see even more because he could be very, very impactful to future Elder Scrolls plots. And finally, at number 1, we have, of course, Shaogore, the Daedric Prince of Cheese. This guy, I mean, how do you not have Shaogore as number 1, right? Like, I typically, in character creation and just, I don't know, playing video games, streaming them, I don't go for goofy kind of meme-y characters. We did an Avatar: The Last Airbender tier list for characters, and I put the cabbage guy kind of in the middle because, yeah, he's funny and he's important as far as the show goes in terms of having an identity for the show, but he's a meme, ultimately, at the end of the day, right? So Shaogore kind of transcends that for me because, you know, the Shivering Isles is an entire expansion for Oblivion, the best piece of Elder Scrolls DLC that ever exists, and it's because it's so interesting how Shaogore plays with Jigalag and how the chaos and order thing kind of work in that world. It's not just goofy randomness, although a lot of it in this day and age is kind of that, looking back on it, but that was definitely an era of gaming at that time, like Borderlands 2 falls into that a lot. But yeah, you know, it's impactful having the Shaogore and Jigalag story in the Shivering Isles and seeing what madness is like in the Daedric sense is obviously incredibly memorable. I think it literally, it's an example of Bethesda's best creativity ever. The Shivering Isles is when Bethesda was the most creative. And that's why everybody loves it, because it's so fun and it's so memorable. Wes Johnson did an amazing job, as always, as Shaogore, legendary performance. And as I said, the Shivering Isles is literally the best Elder Scrolls DLC to exist, and that's heavily involved with Shaogore, because he's such a memorable character. So yeah, that is all of the Daedric Princes ranked. Please let me know your thoughts. I love discussion like this, so if you agreed or disagreed or this or that, let me know in the comments section below. Once again, massive thank you to everybody that came out for Mayvorites at the time of making this video. We're kind of 1/3 of the way through, and it's been an amazing event so far. Big thanks to everybody for supporting. We have a bunch of other incentives coming down the line from Mayvorites. Some of it will be on YouTube, and some of it will be streamed, which I stream on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Currently 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern Time, if you want to come hang out. So you may be seeing other videos and series pop up on this YouTube channel because of those incentives that we hit. So yeah, if you want to come out, I don't know when this video is going to go up, but Mayvorites will probably still be happening. So every day at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and that is noon Eastern Time. If you want to come watch just a whole bunch of variety, you can also check it out on the live tab. The entire series will be in its own playlist, Mayvorites 2025. So big thank you to everybody that's helped to make Mayvorites such a wonderful event so far, and thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, it's me, GV. If you want to see more from me, you can check out the Patreon. It's literally $1, and there's a bunch of bonus streams and series over there. Also, check out these videos. And finally, if you want to get early videos, you can become a member by clicking join under the video, also in the description. Supports the channel, and you get a bunch of perks. Thanks for watching, and now I'm going to chill awkwardly while the rest of this outro plays out. How was your day?